Today I woke up and told myself that no one can tell me that I am not good enough. Well, why did I even have that thought? What was behind that? What was the root cause of that statement? This is a very important day for myself and anyone who has hearing loss. Dealing with experience of challenges, barriers, obstacles, navigating the society, education, workplace, any of those areas. As I reflect back in my own career path, there was a time I had a very difficult time deciding what I wanted to be when I grow up. It's a common question many people get from their parents, their teachers, their friends, and families. What do you want to be when you grow up? At the end of high school, you talk to your counselor, your family, your friends, and so on, and they ask you, what is going to be your major? And so they assume that you'll go to college. Both of those questions really was heavy on my heart since I was told by many people in society of what I can and can't do because of my hearing loss. Well, I had to adopt a motto, and that is, I can do anything I put my mind to. And I would encourage you to adopt that same motto. Anybody, not just anybody with hearing loss, everybody. Anybody with a disability, anybody that's hearing, you can be anything you put your mind to. My career trajectory started a location, a workplace that hired me right from high school. It was fantastic because I had practical on the job training. And I'm a very practical visual learner. So that was like super helpful for me. It is while I was there that I realized the importance of support. My coworkers were super supportive. They encouraged me to learn new things on the job. They were supporting me in ways I've never felt before. They never told me I couldn't do something. They never told me that I wasn't smart enough or if I was too deaf to do something. But they encouraged me. They encouraged me to go on. And so I did. I went and I looked for any free community courses that I could take to learn anything because I wasn't really sure what my interests were yet. And I wanted to be sure that I found my interest that was going to align with my core values and beliefs. It was from there that I decided to go to a vocational school. And I loved this because at the time I was living alone. I was working to support my rent and my food and all that kind of stuff. I was living paycheck to paycheck. So I couldn't go to an expensive college. Although at that time I didn't think I could get into college. Really awesome because it was low cost. It was a low time commitment, usually under 2 years for vocational or trade school. It didn't require any prerequisites. The classes were small and they gave you practical skills that you're going to actually use on the job. It was very specific area that you focused on. But I love that you did the training on the job, which was totally what I needed. That allowed me to step out into the world and learn even more about support. Now, there are people who are not supportive. Always going to have those few people that hold on to the stigma that hearing loss, it's not allowed in certain fields, if you will. You can't do this, you can't do that. Like, you can't be a firefighter, you can't go in the military. Yeah, some of that was true, but what can I do around that? People kept putting up barriers and obstacles in my way, and I just went around the obstacles and broke down barriers as I went. And it's because I kept saying to myself, I can do anything I put my mind to. I worked for many years after that, and I had a lot of learning experience. I had a big learning curve. I finally decided I wanted to go to college, and I first attempted a long distance learning because I thought it would be easier to study on my own, quizzes and tests, and pass them and go forward. And that was a bumpy road because you have to learn on your own. It requires a lot of dedication, commitment. Once I finished that, then I went into college. I actually went on campus and went to classes, and these were much different than I'm used to. They were in lecture halls and big classrooms, and it was much more difficult. And of course, I didn't know anything about accommodations, and I didn't know how to ask for accommodations, but I did the best I could. I would ask people to repeat 1,000 times over. I didn't care if I looked, if I was embarrassed or if I looked stupid, because at this point, I didn't care. I had other people in my life that were supporting me. I went on to get my bachelor's and my master's in science. So obviously, my interest is science. I was really grateful to have experienced all of it because now I'm working in a profession that I absolutely love. I'm here to tell you if you decide to go to school or go back to school, you have to remember not to listen to anybody. Don't let anybody influence your decision making as to what you want to do. Yes, there will be barriers, and maybe you will need to come up with an alternative that is aligned with what your original route, path, or journey, but just know that there are ways around going towards a goal that you really are passionate about. You just can't let anybody stop you. And society will do that. You're good enough, you're smart enough, and you can do anything you put your mind to. And with all of this, I decided to look into possibly going back to school. I had some areas in my job that I wanted to learn more about to decide if I go back to school. As I was talking about previously in my little introduction, that I decided to go back to school. Now, there was a lot of questions I had to ask myself. Is advanced education going to serve my patients? Am I going to gain anything out of my education in order to serve my patients? The second question is, do I have the bandwidth? Meaning, do I have the time, with my work obligations and my home responsibilities, as well as my self-care? Do I have the time to dedicate to this program in order to finish it? And the third question is, can I afford it? And the fourth question I thought about is, when is the right time? When I look back at those four questions, the first question is, yes, it's going to help me gain knowledge to take care of my patients. So that is already a yes. Number two is, do I have the bandwidth? And I think this was the hardest question to answer because I'm a pretty busy provider at my clinic, and I teach yoga on the outside a couple days a week, as well as do the YouTube channel a couple of times a month, and then I have to factor in self-care. So after having some discussion with my family, my friends, and my coworkers, and thought, this is really going to be good for our population. It's going to be good for me to be able to provide more care and treatments, bandwidth. Well, we'll just have to see how it goes. Fourth thing is time. For myself, I am one that if I decide I want to do something, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. It's how I am wired. But this time was a little different in the sense that I don't have to go back to school. I don't have to do any more education. I'm perfectly happy what I'm doing right now. I have a good education, a good job, and I am okay. I don't need to do anything else. I made the decision to go back to school, and now is the time. If I wait till later, I may never do it. Now is the time. Go with the flow and see if I can handle it while I'm working full time and my home obligations and my dogs and my yoga. That's a busy schedule, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's 1 year of college. That's what I keep telling myself is this summer I'm going to be taking a psychopharmacology so that I can lessen the load when I actually start the program in September. And the reason I am sharing this with you guys is when you are going through the process of deciding when you want to go to school or not, or go back to school, is that you're always thinking, am I good enough to go to do this, right? Am I prepared enough to do this? And can I hear okay when I go back to school? And the program I'm taking is a low residency program, meaning that I do most of it online, and I have clinical 3 semesters of that, and I only have to go to campus 3 weekends for the whole weekend. And that's more for like simulation and testing, I believe. It's really going to be good because I'll be able to connect to my computer computer and listen to online portions if I need to. Online, I've always found it a little bit harder, only because you have to really have good time management and be able to commit and dedicate your time to do it. It can be pretty hard. I'm going to go ahead and share my preparation to it all. That will be coming up, so stay tuned. I wanted to talk about my application process for school. I'm going back to school for a postmaster's program. It's actually going to complement my current field. I work as a nurse practitioner in a very busy clinic serving the very vulnerable population. The additional training I'm going to be doing is psychology. The first thing I had to do is I had to research the university that I wanted to attend. I really didn't have to go too much into research because I just applied to the school where I obtained my master's. And I know a lot about the school. I know their mission statement. I was pretty happy with their education, so I decided to go with that school in order to apply for this psychiatric program. The first thing I did was I went online and I applied. I just simply went on their website. They say if you want to apply, you apply. And I received an email pretty quickly, and the email included the required documents needed for the application process. And I will tell you what each of them were here. The first one was picking the program and the coursework program outline. It required a letter of recommendation by a faculty or somebody that's in the advanced level of my field, and a statement of purpose, as well as a resume and transcripts. Now the transcripts I didn't really have to do much on because they were able to just take it from my previous course and see that my grades were all there and so forth. The letter of recommendation, I just simply asked somebody I work with. As far as the statement of purpose, that took me a little bit of time. That is quite complicated. They wanted to be in sort of a 1-page, 2-page, anywhere from 500 to 1,000 words. And if you want to learn more about how to do a statement of purpose for a postmaster's program, let me know and I'll share what I did and how I went about it. It takes a little bit of time, and then having people proofread it and making sure that there's no grammatical errors. That's certainly not something you want to do in your statement of purpose. It's very different than it's like a personal statement, completely different in my view anyway. And I submitted all of those, and then I had to secure preceptorship for my clinical. I have to do 3 semesters worth of clinicals. I pretty much secured all 3 of them, but right now there's a little kind of issue where I work because the person I'm going to want to precept with, and he is contracted out, so we have to go through a different entity to get approval and whatnot. So we're still in the process of that. The unfortunate thing is I only have till July 1st to get that in and tell them who I'm going with in September. Oh, and that comes to this. I didn't actually open up my mail. I have it right here. I got an email, so I already know that I'm accepted, but I'm going to go ahead and open this up right here, right in front of you, just so I can tell you what it says. Big envelope usually is a good sign. Little envelope, not so much. Okay, so here is my letter. Dear Dee Dee, congratulations. After a careful review of your records and credentials and in consultation with the departmental faculty, we are pleased to offer you admission into the Certification in Psychiatric Mental Health Nurse Practitioner graduate program. We look forward to helping you achieve your goals. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but this is all the information I need to continue on or enroll in my courses and any other stuff that I need to do. I'm super excited that I am officially accepted, and you have proof right here with me. That is a quick overview of my application process. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. The next thing I wanted to talk about is preparation. That's the last thing I'm going to talk about in this video. Coming up. I think this is really, really, really important in the sense of reducing the stress and anxiety that is already in us when we go to school. And when you have hearing loss, that gets heightened when you're not prepared to set up the listening environment as best as possible. So I'm just going to share quickly 3 things I did to prepare. The first thing I did was buy some clear masks. Now these are going to be for when I'm in clinical and on site at the hospital or the community center. I also am going to use it on campus when I'm doing testing in a simulation lab. I will need this for my patient and faculty as well as my preceptors. This is what I did. I bought the newest version. These are really nice. I currently have the other old one that was made by this clear mask company, and it's hideous. I hate it. It's got a smaller window and it seems to always move up and down, and I just don't like it. But this one is a full face one, and I'm going to put a video up right now to show you my unboxing real quick. So check it out. So that is the clear mask that I'm going to use during school so that I'm prepared to have as much of facial expression, lip reading. I want all that visual. The second thing I did was I called my audiologist to set up an appointment to talk about what microphone I can use in clinical and on campus when I'm doing my testing. Right now, the microphone I have is a Roger Select. I can't seem to get it to connect to my hearing aid, so that's what we'll try there. But there might be a different microphone that I would want so I can put it on my faculty or professor's chest while I'm in testing or in classroom. I'm not really sure how my on-campus course is going to be. And then as far as the clinicals, I can just have my, preceptor put it on their jacket or give it to the patient so while I'm doing the interview. And then the third thing I did was that I went on the American Disability Act website just to kind of get more familiar with the reasonable accommodations. These are laws that protect us with our hearing loss. It is mandated that colleges and universities provide reasonable accommodation. I will link the website down in the description below. I highly recommend that you take a look at it. One thing I did on top of that is I did a couple drafted letters. The first letter I drafted a letter for requests for a reasonable accommodation, and that will list what I'm asking for, like wearing the clear mask, face me if you're talking to me, don't write at the blackboard with your back to me. And so there's a couple of things I'm going to list. And then the second letter is going to be for my audiologist, and it's sort of a support letter that's going to say that I work with this, with my patient, me. They work with me. These are the accommodations that will make hearing more successful. Those are the 3 things that I did to start to prepare. And the main reason I did that is because I've been through this. I've been through this for my nurse practitioner program, for my master's, and let me tell you, it was very, very stressful not having a microphone, not asking for accommodation. At that time, there wasn't mask issues, so I was able to read lips and all that stuff. I just made sure I had my glasses and so forth. I mean, that was very, very stressful. So I'm looking for any way to reduce that stress, because I'm telling you, after a day of school, coursework, or clinical, I was exhausted. It was just because I was so fatigued from listening and straining and concentrating. It's just putting my full focus on everything. It's just really tiring. So I don't want to have to be that tired at the end of shift, especially when I'm going to be working full time and I still have to work from home a little bit. Those are the reasons I am preparing, so I can be excited about going back to school and not so stressed out. Yes, I have a little anxiety, but that's a normal level of anxiety. I will be starting on September of 2022. That's it for this video. And go ahead and make sure that you like this video if you like this type of content, and then hit the bell notification so you know when the videos are are up and running. Basically, you're going to be going to school with me in the next year, so you can learn how it goes as I learn my challenges and come up with some strategies to overcome them, and I can share them with you, that type of stuff. Okay? Thanks for stopping by. Take care. Bye.